The man cut his finger with a ring and casually flicked it outward. The blood surprisingly transformed into a strange, large umbrella. But when he lifted it, the umbrella changed shape again. This is the blood control power of the demon clan, and he did all this to deal with the rampaging protagonist. The protagonist wanted revenge after witnessing his adoptive father killed by Momotaro. He was desperate to retaliate, but when he opened his eyes, he found himself tied to a chair. In front of him was a man doing one-handed push-ups on an umbrella. He was also a demon, like the protagonist. He brought the protagonist here for assessment and recruitment. It turns out there is a Momotaro organization specialized in hunting demons. To counter them, the demon clan also set up a demon organization. This young man, named Mutano, is the examiner responsible for evaluating and recruiting new members. Those who fail are eliminated on the spot. Simply put, it's either pass the assessment or die. The protagonist hadn't figured this out. He just wanted to go back for revenge. But his unstable emotions kept costing him points from Mutano, because the assessment started the moment he opened his mouth. Seeing the protagonist so obsessed with his thoughts, Mutano decided to speed up the assessment manually. Finishing early would also let him leave sooner. Before the protagonist could react, Mutano suddenly choked him with his tie. The intense suffocation made it hard for the protagonist to breathe, but only this could quickly awaken his demon blood. However, the protagonist struggled only briefly before going still, just as Mutano thought it was over. The protagonist went berserk. Mutano simply gave up on him. After all, someone who easily loses control can't fight Momotaro. But first, he needed to subdue him. When the protagonist woke up again, he was shocked to see his arm had turned blood red, and the surroundings were full of dents and marks. This was the aftermath of his battle with Mutano during the berserk state. Unlike the protagonist, Mutano could freely control his demon power. He immediately declared the protagonist had failed, which meant the protagonist faced elimination. He understood the man before him was absurdly strong, so he knelt and begged Mutano to take him in. Perhaps he could grow stronger under him and then take revenge on Momotaro. But after what just happened, Mutano flatly refused, and intended to deal with him right there. The protagonist naturally refused to surrender. He imitated how Mutano had bled earlier, pressed his arm to the ground, dragging blood outward, and charged at him at high speed. Mutano even simulated 3 possible attacks from the protagonist in his mind, and even considered his escape plan. But the protagonist still exceeded Mutano's expectations. Although the protagonist successfully fired a shot, the attack did no damage to Mutano, because the protagonist was on the verge of losing control. A completely disappointed Mutano no longer had hope for him, and was about to deal with him immediately. But the protagonist's state gradually improved. Mutano realized that the protagonist might just be using sheer emotion to forcefully control blood, which is completely different from other demons. This meant the protagonist was unreliable most of the time, but might explode with powerful strength at critical moments. Facing the protagonist like a dice, Mutano finally made a firm decision.
お前を射程にする気は1ミリもない。お前には俺の生徒になってもらうからな。
Seeing the protagonist look puzzled, Mutano explained that they were now on Demon Island. In the center of the island is Resetsu Academy, a demon school, where demons specialize in learning how to fight Momotaro, and he himself is the protagonist's homeroom teacher. Then Mutano assigned the protagonist a dorm room, and made him change into a school uniform. Next, it was time to meet the other students. Unexpectedly, the protagonist got into a conflict as soon as he entered the classroom. Fortunately, Mutano's immense strength could control the situation. Once the students were all present, Mutano began the first round of assessments. He took the students far from the school, then announced the game rules. It was a demon tag game. Everyone needed to escape his capture within 1 hour and return to school. If everyone was caught, the game ended. Those who didn't reach the finish line would be eliminated and expelled. But as the teacher, he wouldn't use his demon powers, while the students had no restrictions. However, if someone managed to kill him by chance, that person would immediately graduate and join the front line against Momotaro.
男がマジでぶつかってくるならこっちもマジでやるのが筋だろ